So,
Good morning, everyone. Today, May 2nd, 2026, we will be working on the strategy analysis, part of our CBAP exam learning. Thank you for joining us. Let's get this started. So, go. You have been instructed to compare your organizational practices against the best in-class practice at other companies. What do you need to perform? A benchmark study, a focus group, a feasibility study, or market analysis.
I will go with the benchmark.
Can you tell me why, please?
Focus group is more like a group dedicated to study one particular aspect of the business. A feasibility study is about making an assessment on how the risks and how can we achieve a certain objective. And market analysis could also be the answer for this one, but benchmark is actually a comparison between two entities, two organizations.
Okay. Any other idea, or we all agree? Okay. Let's test this. Yep, that's actually correct. This technique compare an organization with other organization. Really good.
oh,
Ashish is working on a project for XYZ Insurance to enable video submission of auto accident claims. He's specifying the condition required to meet the business need for the effort. Ashish created the following diagram to help him understand the, the new process. He created a SIPOC, um, suppliers input process, output, and customer, and they can submit the claim here. Record, open, enter claims, attach, and send. So from the above scenario, we have three questions. The first one is, what activity is Ashish performing? Modeling requirement for the process, defining the future state of the process, defining a value chain for the process, SIPOC modeling process. Let's go back for the question to the question for a second. So his goal is to specify condition required to meet the business need for the effort. And the question now is asking what activity is Ashish performing? Is it modeling requirement, defining future state, defining a value chain, or
No.
SIPOC modeling? What what do you think we can eliminate in this case?
Defining the future state.
Yeah, because I think his goal is to specify the condition. So yeah. Everyone agrees that we can eliminate this? Yeah. Um, what about modeling requirement for the process? What do we think?
Yes, we can eliminate
I
as well.
think I would go for A.
Okay.
Can you all hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. I think I would go for A. My reason being that the last part of the question, the last sentence says he is creating a diagram to help him understand the new process. So it's still more like the requirements. right? So it's more like modeling the requirement, just so you can now see it in a visual format, kind of, to better understand the flow of the requirement process. So I think that's why, and that's the reason why I'm going for A.
Okay, that's good. Any other opinion? Any other choices?
I will probably go with C for Canada.
Okay. I have one for A, one for C. Any tiebreaker?
I would go with C as well.
Okay. Let's start C. And it's actually B. The scenario state actually is specifying the condition requirement to meet the business need, which is another way of saying defining the future state. And the reference for that is 6.2.1. See, a value chain is a broader view of an enterprise and not usually done at a specific process level. Maybe in real life this might apply, but for the Babel company, defining the future state is the same thing as specifying the condition required to meet a business need, which I can debate about because I don't necessarily agree on that, but it remains my opinion. Since we studied the Babel, we have to stick with what they say. So keep in mind that anytime the referring to specifying condition to meet a specific need for a business is referring to defining the future state. And it seems like this is maybe 11.55. Let's see how we can.
Kosi, can we also look at the option one, the modeling requirements for the process?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh.
The scenario description does not support this answer. It does not say he's working to analyze, synthesize, or refine elicitation result into requirement and design, which is what modeling requirement is about.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So we choose C, right? Okay. Next question. From the same scenario, which component Ashish missing from his SciPoc diagram? A, an input for the vehicle involvement in the accident, a customer representing the claim database, an output of the attached video, or a process step for providing the claim receipt. And let me know if it is too small. I can try to make it bigger temporarily. Talking about the SciPoc diagram, do you think we can eliminate something? Do you think we need D?
I'm trying to walk through it again, so
No, no, take your time. I mean, those things are not easy. You have to think through a little bit. So we have the supplier here, which is the insured party, the input, the claim and video clips, the process, right? Submission, the claim. So the output will be new claim and then claim receipt. That's why I'm saying, like, what do we think of D? A process step for providing the claim receipt. Clearly, we can have the claim receipt right here. And then the output of that will to the customer will be claim adjustment and then insure party. And below here, we have record video, open a claim in the app, enter claim detail, attach the video, and send claim. That's for the customer. So do we think he's missing a step of providing the claim receipt? An output of the attached video, customer representing the claim in the database, or an input for the vehicle involved in the accident. And what do we think he is missing? Any idea?
Maybe.
You're going with A? I think I hear A like alpha. Is it A like alpha? A like alpha.
I'll go with D. I'll go with D.
D.
I think I'm having some network issues. Can you all hear me?
Yeah.
I think I'm having some network issues.
Yes.
Hold on. Ah, okay. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So I think I hear A and then B. Someone want to break the tie here and maybe providing some reasoning behind A or B. Okay, let's test A.
So I said D.
Oh, I didn't hear you said D. Sorry, I thought you said B, like boy, and you were right actually. So since there is an output of the claim receipt, there should be a step for it in the SIPOC. So if you look at the SIPOC here, we have an output of it, but we don't have a step by step to have that output. I think that's what the question is saying. And the reference for that is 103433. And I think this is the detail of the SIPOC technique. So if we didn't get that right, I advise we visit that. Last question for this scenario. During a peer review of the SIPOC, a colleague of Ashish commented that one of the process steps was unneeded in the diagram. Was he correct? If so, which one is unneeded? Record video because it can be assumed to be a precondition of the process. The colleague is not correct. All steps are needed. Enter claim details because the details are input to the process. Open XYZ claim app because it can be assumed to be a precondition of the process. Let us give us some thought here.
Can you scroll down on the image?
Absolutely.
Perhaps a skip D.
And why do you choose D?
I mean, oh, sorry. Let's hold on to D. My bad. Yeah, it is the input process step. It has to be via the app, but I.
I I would say D, no, it's C, because enter claim details is already in the input in the in the input in the diagram in the first row with the tasks
Yeah, it seems to
input.
be a
So
duplicated activity, claim details, which is going in as input and also being captured as part of the process. It shouldn't be enter claim details, right? I agree with you, Gabriel. I think I would also go with C.
Yeah, I agree as well.
Okay, let's test C. Now, so record the video because it can be assumed to be a precondition of the process. Recording the video is most likely to be a precondition and excluded from the process, especially since it is an input. So 103433. This is heavily speaking about the SciPoc technique. And unless you know all of the details, actually most of the detail of how a SciPoc works, um, this question are a little bit tricky to get around. But is there some reasoning behind it? And I assume uh, because recording the video is most likely why they are creating the app, it should actually be created since it is already an input right here. Let's move on. And please, if at any point you have any question, do not hesitate to share. If I cannot answer it, I will defer to Thea and she can catch up with you during the next session. So don't feel like you have to stay quiet. Feel free to share your question. I don't have answers to all of the question, but I will surely defer to Thea if needed, and she will also watch the recording. So, next question. When executing the task of assessing risk, which of the following are input? So, pretty much the input of assessing risk task. A, business goal, state elicitation result, prioritize design, prioritize requirement, business objective. B, confirm elicitation result, prioritize design, prioritize requirement, business objective, potential value. State elicitation result, prioritize design, prioritize requirement, business objective, potential value. Business goal, confirm elicitation result, prioritize design, prioritize requirement, and then business objective. Let us take a few moments to review this. And then we can start by eliminating what we think is not part of it.
business objectives and business goals are not required.
So what I'm hearing
So
is
A and B are not, A and D are not, can be excluded.
yeah, because they both have business goal, and you said
Yes,
business goal is not part of uh the input for assessing risk. Okay.
yes.
Okay, so it kind of remain with B and C. Let's see what we have. Uh, confirm elicitation result is not here. Prioritize design is here. Prioritize requirement is here as well. This also has, okay, that's business objective. It's also here and potential value. So the only thing making the difference between the two is confirm elicitation result and state elicitation result. That's the only difference that I can see. Confirm here versus state elicitation result.
Here is confirmed.
Okay. Any other opinion?
I will go with confirm as well. Yeah.
Same
Uh,
here, Kasi. I'll go with B as well.
okay, perfect. Let's test this. And that's really good. Next question. Let me read this before we move forward. Internal and external influence are also input to the assess risk. Ryan is a BA working on gathering information for a business case. He's using benchmarking studies of the competition. He has determined that the potential risk associated with implementation are roughly the same as the expected value. Which of the following would Ryan most likely recommend? Recommend the organization not pursue the change. Pursue the change and its potential benefit regardless of the risk level. Pursue the change and invest in some risk mitigation. Seek ways to increase solution value that will overweight the risk. So he's using a benchmarking study of the competition and determine that the potential risk associated with the implementation are roughly the same as the expected value. So what is the best recommendation in this case? Knowing all that we know already. Let us give some time to reflect on it and we can start by eliminating.
I would say C because pursue change and invest in some risk mitigation is the best one.
Okay. Anyone else?
Yeah, I'll go with C as well, being the solution. Yeah.
Amarachi, any opinion?
I think I'll go for D.
Okay. Well, since you have two people going for C, let's test C and C, okay? So the correct answer is D. And the reason behind it is this is the best recommendation for the scenario, and the reference is 6.3.4.5. Yeah, so anytime we have a change happening at the enterprise or even organizational level, and the change has the same value as the risk, most likely company will look for ways to increase the value because that's the whole point um, of the change. So keep that in mind. Company will always, they are always targeting the most value. So if they will implement something that will have the same level of risk, the effort might not be considered and the project might be canceled. So they should find a way to increase the value. So I really wanted to test A because I was thinking sometimes this can in real life at least this can also happen depending on the industry and all that. Let's see what A is also saying. So to stay viable, an organization need to keep pace with the competition. So yeah, I can understand now why this might not be an option, but in real life, I have seen that happening at two companies that I work for, where when comparing the risk with the actual value that that change will bring, some company decided not to do the change at the time, or maybe look for alternative ways to bring some values. But in the company of Babok, the best way is to seek way to increase value and not to create any confusion. But this was also um, a similar question on my ACC exam, which I took a few months back, and that is strictly focused on agile. So you can imagine why.
So
Next
that's
question.
a BABOK. If we make a FMEA analysis, it's there you can prioritize all the measures to mitigate risks and uh,
Um,
and
Gabriel, give me 1 second, please, Gabriel. Am I the only one having the echo?
I hear the echo as well, Kosi.
Okay, Gabriel, can you do me a favor and try to unplug and plug your headset back, please?
So, uh, and it's better now.
Yeah, it's better. Yeah.
So, I would say in the real life, you can make a FMEI analysis where you put also the values you can, the business goals and the values you list you listed, and then you have a good overview which measures make the value higher and the risk lower. And
Yep.
then you have a good understanding which measures you should prefer before, because they have a big value on your project.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That can also be used. I think the tricky part of the Babok is there are some techniques, right? Even though it has, I believe, 50 techniques, there are some techniques that are not part of it and might be part of the PMP and stuff like that. But yeah, I definitely agree with what you shared, Gabriel.
Can I add something? Like, can I say
Absolutely.
something?
Sure.
Okay. My main reason for picking D initially is
Mhm.
looking at the real um instances that happened when we have a situation where the risk level equals the value of the system. The first step, I believe, personally, my opinion, that every business will do it. Since we've come up to say this value of this solution is the best solution for whatever issue it is we are handling. So how can we increase the value of the solution itself so that it outweighs that of the risk? And in a situation where we've tried every possible way and we cannot now come up with a better way to do that, then I think that's where C comes in. Where we now have to say, let's just go ahead with the change and look for possible ways to, mitigate the risk. Then if after that stage we are still seeing that even after mitigation, the risk is still there, like there's nothing that can be done. It's like, it's so much, we have to make a choice. At that moment, we say, based on the timing, based on the context, should we drop it? Should we not drop it? I believe that that's when A now comes into play. So that was my reasoning, and that was why I chose.
Yeah. That's really good, Amarachi. I like that reasoning. Um, that's really good. That's really good. And you're right. And companies, like at the end of the day, the keyword for us as a BA, there are two. I mean, personally, that's the way I'm considering the keyword for us are need and value. That's all we really care about. But so I really like your reasoning here, Amarachi, and thank you for sharing. Let's move on. Next question. For which of the following task or element will it be most appropriate to generate alternative approach during strategy analysis? A. Determine implementation approach, acceptance criteria and evaluation criteria. Define change strategy, scope of the solution space. So for which of the option below is the most appropriate to generate alternative approach during strategy analysis? And strategy analysis is the whole knowledge area. Let us keep that in mind. And we're talking about task or element. So the question now becomes, is any of those four are not either a task or an element? We can start by eliminating that.
I will probably go with C for Canada, define change strategy.
Can you elaborate a little bit, please?
It's the task within strategy analysis where we need to define which approach will be the best one to follow. Acceptance and evaluation criteria, I will eliminate scope of solution space, also eliminate and implementation approach.
Okay.
I would be a little bit in doubt, but at the end of the day, I would go with defined change strategy.
Any other opinion? Oh, okay, let's test C. And that's correct. The purpose of defined change strategy task is to develop and assess alternative approach to the change and then select the recommended approach. This is really good. Thank you, Jose. When analyzing the current state, business analysis should identify external influence that may be acting as constraint, dependencies, or drivers. Which of the following does not represent an external influence? Competitor, microeconomic factor, customers, suppliers. So, what task are we in here?
Was in the current state.
Exactly. So, which of those one are not um, a good representation of the external influences? What do we think of suppliers?
They are an important part of. They are an important external factor.
Customers?
Important as well.
Okay. Microeconomy factor.
No, it's the macroeconomic.
Okay. And competitors?
Also important.
Okay. Any other opinion? Going once, twice? So I'm kidding. Amarachi, you can speak. If you want to say something, you can say Amarachi.
Yeah, like I'm actually a bit conflicted between the microeconomic factors and the competitors because microeconomic factors are still like factors that affect, but the situation we are looking at is like the current state. So it's it's tricky.
Let me ask you a question. I usually do that too when I'm kind of learning. Have you read about microeconomic factor in the BABOK? Do you remember reading about it?
Yes, yes, I do, but not in detail, let me be honest. So yes, I do. But not in
Okay,
detail.
because sometimes sometimes what I do if I kind of find myself in a position where I'm really leading to two options, I kind of try to remember if I write something about the other time in the Babak versus what I have. And most of the time, not all the time, most of the time, it helped me get the answer right. So um, it's been a while since I read chapter 6. So yeah, I don't recall a lot about microeconomics, but let's test it. I might be wrong. Um,
Yeah, I'll stick with this is answer. Let's see.
let's go. You're actually correct. So macroeconomic factor will be a source of influence, not microeconomy. And I spent 3 hours during my college years learning about that. Any question around that, or we should move forward? Okay, let's go. Business analyst, business analyst analyze the enterprise to assess its capacity to make the change and to sustain the change in the future state. What is this element called? Enterprise capacity assessment, organizational readiness assessment, organizational capacity assessment, enterprise readiness assessment. Okay. What do we think of A? Enterprise capacity assessment. Shetna, what do you think?
Um, Sorry, I don't have anything at the top of my mind. It would just be a blank guess.
No, no problem.
Uh, Organizational readiness or capacity, I would say.
Okay. So the whole point here is analyze the enterprise to assess its capacity to make the change and to sustain the change in the future state. So let us first decide, is it enterprise or organization? Let us start by that.
Yeah, I
So
think enterprise sounds right out. Hmm.
yeah, so do we agree, do we all agree that it's enterprise?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so we can ignore B and C. So do
Readiness.
we, in the BABOK company, do we say enterprise capacity assessment or enterprise readiness assessment?
It's an enterprise readiness.
Any other vote for D?
Yes.
Yes, I think. Yes.
Let's go. And we have it right. So the readiness assessment consider the enterprise capacity to make and sustain the change, but also realize value from the solution. So one thing to keep in mind is for the cash question like that, always, you know, not always, I will take that back. Most often, there are some keywords that can point you to the right answer and help you eliminate um, the choices that are not part of what we are looking for, like the way we just did. We're seeing analyze the enterprise. So if something is at the enterprise level, uh, I will assume that the correct answer will start with enterprise as well. Not always, but most often, that's the way I will proceed to get the answers that I wanted. Let's move on. Mary is a business analyst who has collaborated with stakeholders and successfully identified the primary root cause related to the business need. To fix the problem, she and her team have generated several alternative solutions, including the forecast, financial cost, and benefit associated with each option. However, the decision maker still is not sold. What might be missing from Mary's presentation? A. The root cause, so the alternative solution are lacking context. Net present value and internal rate of return, the cost and benefit associated with doing nothing, the business need, so they know what problem they are trying to solve. Let us reflect on that a little bit. So one thing for sure, she was able to identify the root cause related to the business need. Okay. So in her process to fix the problem, they did this. They identified the root cause related to the business need, then generated several alternative solutions. And part of that solution is the forecast financial cost and benefit associated with each option. So based on that information, do we think that the root cause, so the alternative solution are lacking context? Do we think that's why the decision maker is not sold?
But it says they already successfully identified the root cause. So, hmm.
I agree with you on that. Since because that's what actually triggered the team to generate alternative solution. And part of that solution is now the financial cost and the benefit associated with all those solutions. So two things that I can see here is the root cause has been identified, the solution and benefit associated with every other alternative solution has also been identified. So what is actually missing? Are we missing the root cause? Okay, we are not missing that, I guess. Are we missing the net present value and internet rate of return?
I'm divided between A for Alabama and C for Canada.
The cost and benefit associated with doing nothing. Okay. I'm curious, why you leaning towards C?
So the stakeholders could actually see what would happen if nothing was done.
Okay.
Do we have more costs if we don't do anything, or do we have more costs, more risks if we actually go with one of the solutions?
Okay. Any other vote? I have a vote for A, a vote for C. I need someone to break the tie. Gabrielle, do you want to break the tie?
So maybe
You said
also C.
say C
That
as
was
well?
the first I thought of.
Okay. Okay, let's test C then. And that's actually correct. So the statu quo is always considered an option and presented along with other solution alternative. The cost associated with doing nothing might support action, and the reference is 6.1.4.1. That's really good. Next. Peggy is applying her findings of the gap analysis to the solution scope and change strategy. What will she keep in mind during this exercise? That the gap analysis findings may have to be allocated to various release defined in the project scope. The finding must be applied to both the transition and future state. That the same techniques should be used to describe the current and future state to simplify the comparison. The most timely way to acquire new capabilities so that the business can realize value as quickly as possible. This question is strictly focusing on gap analysis and change strategy, actually. So, what is the more critical thing she should keep in mind while conducting a gap analysis? Let's just take a time to reflect. What do we think of D? Can we eliminate D?
I'm a little bit confused with this question, to be honest, because the
Okay.
gap analysis is a technique done to compare the current and future state. I'm just not understanding. Okay, I will go probably with C for Canada. But to simplify the comparison doesn't sound quite right. That's why I'm not too sure about C being the correct answer to this one.
Any other idea?
I would say D because it's the most challenging aspect that you always have in mind that the organization is changing, new opportunities are with new technologies, and so you can ease the way of getting your results.
By the comparison.
Now I need a tiebreaker. So let us take a step back. So based on what we both of you shared, I think we agree that we can eliminate A and B. Let's view A and B for a second. That the gap analysis finding may be allocated to various relays defined in the project scope. We can eliminate that, right? B, the findings must be applied to both the transition and future state.
Yes, we can eliminate the
Absolutely.
findings must be applied to the current and future.
Yeah, let's test C in this case. And that's actually B. Gap analysis identify the difference between current state and future state capability and need to be addressed in the transition and future state. This is not clear for me, guys. I'm not gonna lie.
Current state of
Let me go to the BABOK and see what they said there for a second. 6442. And you can do the same if you want. 6442, 6442.
And what's about D? Could you?
Absolutely. Let's try D. The BABOK does not mention this. Logical thinking will identify that the most timely way may not be the most effective way from both cost and organizational perspective. So this is to realize
So it's
but
not faulty, but not in the BABOK.
yeah, it's not wrong, but it's not in the BABOK. And also here, this is referring to how quickly they can do it and then what option they have acquired. So this is more of um an agile answer than anything else, meaning this is focusing on delivering the value really quickly and identify something really quickly instead of having, the data to do the analysis between the current and future state. The part that I'm a little bit not clear on is this right here. That's last sentence, transition and future state. Because I was agreeing with Jose when he said the gap analysis identify the difference between current and future state. And then he add that capability and need to be addressed in the transition and future state. So I really want us to take a moment and read this part because this is not um, really clear. So gap analysis actually, let's see.
I think I did
Yeah, hold on. I'm
misunderstood.
trying to bring that to my screen so we can all view it at the same time.
Okay, I think I understand. I think I understand.
I'll outside like the BABOK, I think I I kind of I'm getting a hold of the explanation.
Okay.
Why? Because it was one of the options I considered. And so looking at it, we have like a change strategy being mentioned there. So it means that if a change would happen, then definitely there should be transitioning happening. And the future state is something that would definitely be considered because yeah, gap analysis have to compare that. So if you're going to apply it to the scope, then you'd have to apply it to like the process of the change, that transitioning state. So I don't know, 'cause that was one of the options, but then again, I wasn't so sure, and that was why I like um went with C2. So probably that's the reasoning.
I like I, li-
What
I like what you share, Amarachi, and I think now that you said that, I'm start thinking, and it kind of makes sense because a change happened through a process, right? And the same uh, um, difference that or the same data that we identify while conducting our analysis should also help us during our transition and to get to a future state. And I think Jose, you wanted to add something too, right?
Yes, I was just rereading the question,
Okay.
and the gap analysis is already done. Now, the comparison between the current and future states is already done. Now they are using those findings and using it to the solution scope and change strategy, meaning that the findings are applied to transition and future states. It's a
Yeah.
little bit tricky because, but the main part is that Peggy is applying her findings of the gap analysis. The gap analysis is it's already done.
That's true actually. Now that I'm reading the question again. Yeah. And guys, I'm pretty sure Thea mentioned this to you multiple times, but the question in the actual test are phrased better than this. This is really like your training ground, so they make it a little bit more challenging. So keep that in mind. I'm not saying that it will be more easier, but I'm saying, they have more clarity for the actual test. Let's move on. Farouk is a business analyst working with a business owner to define the business requirement related to the new opportunity in his organization. He works in a company that produces bathroom fixtures. The company is known not only for high-end fixtures that are sold worldwide, but for its outstanding customer service. What factor will Farouk consider in order to document business requirement? A. The underlying source of the opportunity and the associated risk and their cost. Farouk will focus on understanding why the change is needed along with the expected benefit from pursuing the opportunity. Farouk needs a thorough understanding of the opportunity and possible benefit given organizational constraint. Farouk needs to understand the cost of doing nothing. In other words, not pursuing the opportunity. Let us take a moment to think this through. So,
Cost of doing nothing. And why the change is needed. Underlying
okay.
support.
What do we think of D? Can we eliminate D?
Yeah, I think we go with eliminating D. I agree.
Okay. What about C?
I'm actually divided between C and D. I will eliminate A and B.
Okay.
I think I would go with not eliminating. I'm talking about the answer. I think I'm leaning more towards C.
Okay. Okay. And can you elaborate a little bit?
Um, it should be that the opportunity is used because this is a strategy of the company. So I think it will be B or C.
Okay, so I think I have 2 votes for C and 1 vote for D, if I remember correctly. So I will test C and let's go. And that's actually correct. The word thorough is the key here as business requirement, a, a primary output for the analyzed current state task. Underlining constraint is also spe- specifically mentioned in the definition of business requirement, 6.1.8. So I'm curious to test D. Farouk does not need to understand consequence of maintaining the status quo, but that purport more to understanding the business need versus the business requirement. A CEO is sold on a new idea to create and implement a business relationship manager, BRM, role as described in the best practice framework. She would like to determine the viability of the idea before authorizing financial and human resources. What will the BA likely conduct to determine viability of the BRM? Market analysis, a decision package, a business case, a feasibility study. Let us take a moment. What do we think of the feasibility study? Can we eliminate?
Mm. So, if I'm looking at the word feasibility and the word viability, yeah, right. So the last sentence, yeah. So what would the BA likely conduct to determine the viability of the BRM role? So I think that word is making me lean towards feasibility study. So that's just my own. I don't think market analysis is the answer. So yeah.
So I guess what you are telling me is I can eliminate ABC and keep D.
Yes, for me.
Okay.
Opinion,
Any
yeah.
other idea? Is the okay, let's do this. Do the BA need to do a business case to determine the viability of the role? I didn't catch that, Jose, if you speak.
I think I was if you speak.
think we're having that network connection thing again. One second. Yeah, I can hear you, Marachi. I can hear you now. Yeah, Marachi. I can hear you now.
Okay, so now I think now that you pointed out C, it becomes tricky for me. D is an option C, and why I'm looking at the business case, I think it makes it more obvious what's the role in question of the what the role of the business relationship manager would be, right? So the business case actually brings it out and says, okay, here's it. We have this situation. This is what this person would be doing in this situation. And so with that, I think it makes it now easy to say, oh, this person plays this particular role, and we can say, oh, we want to give this amount of pay or whatever to the role and the rest of that. So now it's confusing.
Yeah, and one thing also I use in situation like this is to consider what is a technique in the BABOK, right? We have four things to pick from. A feasibility study, even if it is something we do in real life, is it a technique listed in the BABOK? A business case, is it a technique? A decision package, what is that? What does that mean even really? You know, a market analysis, is it a technique? So that's the way I will proceed, to do the elimination. So I wanted to give you an opportunity. Do you still want to go with D, or do you want to change to something else?
I would go to the C. I go to the C.
Okay. So you want to be
The
the C?
the techniques from BABOK are market analysis, business case, and feasibility study. Market analysis is not good anymore. Uh, am I the only one with the issue with? Okay, now it's solved. Okay.
Yeah.
The techniques in BABOK are the market analysis, business case, and feasibility study. Market analysis we can eliminate. I am a little bit divided between business case or feasibility study. I would go with feasibility study.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so you want to test me? Okay, let's do this. A feasibility study support the strategic effort and looks at the feasibility and viability of a new opportunities. And that's 10.733. And that's the glossary also explain it. That's really good. I wanted to test this because I thought that will be the right thing. Let's see. The CI wants to determine viability of the particular solution. A business case will include much more than that. So what I'm getting is not wrong, but since we have a feasibility study, the feasibility study is much appropriate in this specific scenario. Okay, that's good to know. It's okay, same scenario. Second question. What might the BA recommend doing before determining the viability of the BRM role? A benchmarking study to determine how other companies are more cost effective addressing the business need. Document the forecast responsibility associated with the BRM role in order to better determine viability. Fully explore, document, and gain consensus on the underlying business need. A cost benefit analysis to determine the overall financial value of the BRM role. Let us think of it a little bit and talk. So, based on our last question, we determined that the best technique was the feasibility study. So, I guess if I should rephrase this question is, what should the BA recommend before using the feasibility techniques. Pretty much that's the way I will think of it to kind of make sense a little bit. So should the BA consider benchmarking study? What do we think of this?
In this case, I would say the benchmarking study has already been done, and it is more important to see if the BRM rule is applicable to the specific company because of the other rules they are already implemented in the company, so that maybe the tasks and responsibilities can be put to other roles. So I would say it is very important to document the forecasted responsibilities so that you can go for another solution than implementing a BRM role.
Okay, that's good. Any other opinion?
Well, not an opinion. I'm not yet settled on like the option I would go for, but why I wouldn't go for A, so I would eliminate A. Majorly, can you hear me?
Is a little bit breaking out, but I'm getting the most out of it.
Breaking out, but I'm getting the most out of it.
Is it better now?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so I would eliminate A. Why? Because when we are talking about feasibility, I would think of it more from like an internal perspective and not like an external stuff. And that's why the benchmark part, which is to determine like more like a comparison with competitors or whatever and other related companies, will be out of it for me. But then again, I'm leaning towards B or B and D to document the forecasted responsibility associated with the BM rule in order to better determine the viability. That's a strong option for me also. And yeah.
Okay, so we have to vote for B. Let's test that. Yeah. The business need must be understood before exploring potential solution. And this is, like I said earlier, the two keyword that we as a BA, we really care about: need and value. Before the BA can actually recommend the viability of the role, she needs to understand the need. This question, I believe is a little bit tricky because in the previous scenario, we established that the best techniques to use is the feasibility study. So for me, before I will start doing that, I should understand the need. Do you see my perspective? But here, the question really asking for what do you need before conducting that the use of that technique, which is actually the need in this case. That's why when we saw this question, I was trying to explain to you that we previously determined that the best technique is the feasibility study. So in my head, what do we need, right, before using that technique? And is absolutely understanding the need. So if you didn't get this right, it's actually pointing for 6.0. Next question.
Can we see D, please?
Next question.
Can we
Absolutely.
like look at D of the
Sure.
option D?
Sure.
Sure. Sure.
Okay, good.
Since we are here, let's check A. Yeah, same thing. So Ginger is a BA working in investment area in a large financial institution. A new regulation has been passed that will force a change in the related business process as well as the associate software. The business area Ginger has been working with does not understand why Ginger does not simply ask the IT area to make a change in the software since the change is a result of a mandate. She replies that first, she needs to understand the business need. Why? Understanding the business need will ensure the most cost-effective and viable way to fulfill the new regulatory requirement will be identified. Ginger wants to ensure that documentation is robust, aligned to best practices, and auditable for the regulation for the regulators. She needs to understand what the business is trying to achieve through the changes. Ginger needs the information for the business case, no matter how self-evident it appears. Let us think of it for a few seconds and we can come back. Okay, what do we think of D? Can we eliminate D?
Yes, eliminate.
Okay.
Agree, yeah, we go with eliminate.
She needs to understand what the business is trying to achieve through the change.
Yes, but I believe there's a better answer.
Yeah, and I agree with you. And the reason why I'm saying this is uh that's a regulation that was passed. So at this point, either you like it or not, you can either accept and implement the change, or maybe accept not to implement it and be fine later. Like financial institution, medical institution, those areas, they have a lot of regulation that you are forced to apply. For example, like HIPAA, and I work with not that I work. I study with a lady that worked for a medical institution, and at some point they were forced to make a change. I can't remember exactly regarding what. The company decided that they were not ready to implement that, and they were fined for that. They intentionally live with the fine for a few years before implementing that change. Um, so I kind of agree that we can eliminate C as well. So can we decide between A and B? B said Ginger want to ensure documentation is robust, aligned to best practices, and auditable for the regulators.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes, it's important to do that,
B.
but I believe A actually responds to the previous questions as well. Previous question as well about feasibility. The understanding the business need is the first and foremost.
I tend to believe that as well. Anyone else have a different opinion?
I think it's B
I think it's
because
B. Mhm.
yes, because we need to know the requirements for the auditable for the regulators, so that we have the exact requirements from the regulator.
Yeah, but in order for you to get a documentation, you have to understand the need to create that documentation, right? I need a tiebreaker then.
Okay, so I'm leaning towards A, but
Okay.
then From the previous practices we've had, one pattern I've observed is when it comes to something that involves policies, regulations, the answers also are kind of tied to regulation, policy, but I would naturally lean to A. So let's check the both of them.
Okay, let's test A.
I think in B is also the way how to document so that it is good for the company too, because regulators all mostly they have regulations so that the companies also have value from the regulation.
Yeah, you know what? Let's test A and let's see. Yeah, this is a recurring theme throughout strategy analysis. Understanding the business need will ensure the most cost-effective and viable way to fulfill the new regulatory requirement that will be identified.
Okay.
This knowledge area is strictly focusing on strategies, right? Analysis and strategy change and all that. So in this specific scenario, I was leaning toward A as well because in my head, the change is already mandate. Either they like it or not, they only have they only have two options. Either implement the change or live with not implementing the change and be fine. So since um she replied to them that she wanted to understand the business need. In my head, I'm like, the need will actually help her later create
Yeah,
a documentation that will really align with the best practices for the auditor. But before she can create in documentation, she really need to understand the business need and also see the most effective way, right, to implement that change. That's the way I will look at it. And that's why I was, naturally leaning to A as well. While what you said, Gabriel, is understandable, and I think Amarachi, you mentioned that as well, that sometimes when it comes to regulators and auditors, the BABOK tend to believe that they have some kind of authority and like a governance and all that. But we have to be a little bit careful based on the scenario that we have. But it doesn't mean that what you share, Gabriel, is wrong. It's just based on this scenario, this is the most this is the best answer actually. And let us try B actually. I'm curious to know.
so
This is an affirmative answer, really. Okay. And
what does invented answer mean?
that means the what am I learning created that answer. It's not something that is a best practice in the business analysis area. That was an invented answer. Trust me, you will never see something like that on the test.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Shawnee is a BA. Is working with the business owner to clarify the organization business objective. The business owner keeps talking about the current situation and the new project to automate a cumbersome business process. Sean tries to bring her back to the business objective. Finally, the business owner says that she has three business objectives: increase employee satisfaction, improve revenues by increasing sales, and comply with new regulation. Sean is not comfortable with this business objective. Why? They do not state the business problem or opportunity. They do not state the business benefit. They are stated but not confirmed. They are not measurable. Just take a few moments to reflect and come back. Okay. Do we think those objectives are measurable? Are not measurable, sorry. increase employee satisfaction, improve revenue by increasing sale, and comply with new regulation. Do you think all those are not measurable?
No, they are.
Okay. Um, they are stated but not confirmed. And what do you think on C? They are stated but not confirmed.
Yeah, go with C.
Keep it or delete? I didn't get that.
Retain C from.
Okay. They do not state the business benefit. Eliminate. And remember, the question is, Sean is not comfortable with this business objective. Why? They do not state the business problem or opportunity, or they do not state the business benefit. Need an answer? I, I didn't get that, Amarachi. Can you please repeat it?
I think it's right. You can repeat it.
I will go for C. They
You
are
will go for.
stated but not confirmed.
Okay. Any other vote? Let's test see. They are not measurable. Objective need to be smart, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Also, the state objective are lacking in the specific and time-bound aspect, and that is that 4.1. So greeter is a BA assigned to the RD function of a cell phone manufacturing. The developers would like to obtain funding to create a phone battery that will automatically charge itself whenever it is detect a wireless connection. Sagrita has been charged with writing the business case to obtain funding for this exciting new ventures. She has all the information she needs about the limitation of the current technology and the gas it costs customers who desire a longer battery life. She wants to ensure that she fully understands this opportunity. In order to do so, what might be her course of action? Sagrita could survey customers who have submitted complaints regarding the current battery life in order to understand a viable price point for the battery. Understand the size of the market and gain competitive intelligence to hopefully understand potential price point for the battery. Sagrita could conduct focus group with representative of the target market to understand what they will pay for the battery. Write a business case using different scenario in order to quantify benefit using a pessimistic, optimist, and most likely view of cell velocity. Just think of this for a few seconds. What do we think of A?
Okay.
What do we think we can eliminate? Um, Quick question. What is the difference between conducting a survey and conducting a focus group?
I
A
think it
focus
could
group
be D because there is a really good understanding of all the factors.
Okay. And her goal here is she wants to ensure that she fully understands the opportunity. Fully. So writing a business case using different scenarios in order to quantify benefits using pessimistic, optimistic, and most likely view of sale velocities. Okay. I think Rosa, you were studying sharing something around surveys and focus group.
I was gonna say that focus groups are more like a personalized type of requirements gathering.
Yep. And that's actually right. So what do we think? Any other vote?
I'm divided between B for Bahamas and the D for Denmark.
Okay. Let's test D then, since we have two votes for D. That was actually we. This is a tall order, but Sagrita is going to need to quantify benefit for a business case. To do this, she will need to do a market analysis to comprehensively and realistically understand the market opportunity. Sagrita could do this, but the information wouldn't be as reliable as another response. And the reasoning behind it is 10.4.3 to that too. I think that's his market analysis, let's see quickly.
Yeah,
Uh
yeah.
yeah.
Understand the size of the market. Yeah, definitely
Yep.
market. See.
Yep. Let's move on. And guys, I'm happy. You said sometimes you guys run to 2 hours. I'm happy to continue if you all are. I want to be respectful of your time. Um, can we continue or is someone needs to leave?
Kosi, I'll have to drop off here.
Okay.
Right.
Well, thank you for your time. And sorry we run a little bit slow. It's been a little bit since I run those classes.
Oh, no,
So
that's all right. Sorry, I just have
yeah.
something coming up.
If
And Kosi,
okay.
I checked Slack. I seem to have access, but I don't see access to the documents that was earlier available.
Okay.
Um,
What I will do, I will send you an email probably with my calendar for an invite, and we
okay.
can catch up and do that. I will make sure to do it before the next class. Okay?
Yeah,
And,
sounds great. Thank you
uh,
so much.
you're
Thank you.
welcome. And remind me of your time zone, please.
CET
Okay,
is 3:30 p.m. for me.
3:30 p.m.
I
actually. Okay.
think it's D.
Okay. Okay. I will catch up with you. Okay.
All right. Thank
Have a
you.
good one. Yeah.
You too. Bye.
Okay. Okay. So let us if everyone else want to drop they can, but if we're all happy, I'm happy to stay and continue. We just have few more questions. So, what is the best description of the strategy analysis knowledge area? We're not talking about any task, but the whole knowledge area. Strategy analysis begin when a business need is identified and end when projects are initiated. Strategy analysis focus on understanding the current state and identifying obstacles keeping the organization from reaching its goal. Strategy analysis consists of collection of pre-project activities for capturing future views of the business to provide context for elicitation. The strategy analysis knowledge area begins when a business need is identified and analyze the current state and enable the enterprise to effectively address that need by defining the future and transition state. Let us take a few seconds. Which is the best description in this case? What do you think of A? Can we eliminate?
Yes, I believe that the best answer for this one is D for Denmark.
Any other vote?
Any other vote?
So A would have been a strong option, but the fact that it ends when the projects are initiated, I think that's what kind of disqualifies that answer for me.
Okay.
Then I think
I think it's D because
D.
Let's D then. I have 3 votes. Perfect. This is the correct definition of the strategy analysis knowledge area. Which of the following is not a way to document a change strategy? Project charter, product roadmap, strategic plan, business case. And remember, is not.
I will go with the project charter.
Any other vote?
Project charter.
Okay, let's test A. And that's actually correct. Why strategy can be included in the project charter? Project charter are not mentioned in the BABOK. See, that's one of the things that I was mentioning a little bit earlier. Even though it exists, it's not something that the BABOKs talk about. A strategy may be captured in a strategic plan, product vision, business case, roadmap, product roadmap, or other artifacts. So good job. As a BA assigned to improve an enterprise process to realize efficiency gain, which of the following analytic technique will you provide? Sorry, let me restart that. As a BA assigned to improve an enterprise process to realize efficiency gain, which of the following analytic technique will provide the most value? Activity diagram, CIPOC, RACI matrix, value strip mapping.
I will
Yep.
go. Yes, value stream mapping and the CIPOC are high level diagrams to see how the enterprise operates. So on this one, we want to improve a specific process. So I'll probably go with activity diagrams.
Okay. Any other vote? Okay, let's test A. Yep. Activity diagram are type of process model notation that reflect process step, role, parallel processes, and multiple exit decision point. So of the option listed will deliver the most value. And Tia has a strong knowledge in activity diagram. As a BA with some perspective in business process reengineering, you would like to capture the current business process flows for a business unit within the company before a software automation project is undertaken. But the sponsor says that there is not enough time. How will you present your reasons? A. Process modeling now will most likely save rework in the future. Documenting current process will ensure stakeholder groups have not been overlooked. Documenting current process will help uncover the step in the current process that need to change before the software can deliver forecasted value. Business process engineering is well-established technique for uncovering inefficiencies and advocating change within an organization. What do we think of a process modeling now will most likely save rework in the future?
I would say the C.
So see, documenting current process will help uncover the step in the current process that need to change before the software can be delivered for best value. Okay. Any other opinion?
Change. Yes, I would also go with C. I believe it's the best answer. A and B also happen to be the case, but C, I believe it's the best answer.
Okay. Let's see.
Yeah,
And,
same.
and we are correct. Process modeling is a technique utilized throughout strategy analysis. This answer not only answers what process modeling will do, but why it is important at the level a sponsor will find compelling. Yeah, absolutely. And that's something that we, I work for a company where at some point they did an upgrade at the enterprise level without having any kind of documentation or test done. And you can imagine the result. Next, which of the following are tasks within the strategy analysis knowledge area? Analyze current state, define future state, assess risk, define solution strategy. Define current state, define future state, analyze risk, define solution strategy. Define current state, define future state, assess risk, define change strategy. Analyze current state, define future state, assess risk, define change strategy. So, do we need analyze current state or do we define current state?
Analyze current state and define future state.
Okay, so analyze current state and define future state. So I have A.
Or D.
Hold on. You said analyze current state and define future, right? So that's the
Yes.
only two options that have analyze are A or D.
We have C or D, and we have there's a analyze current state, so it's D.
Yeah. Okay.
It's not a solution strategy, it's a change strategy.
So do we agree on D? Is that what I'm hearing? Like
Yeah,
delta? Okay,
yeah.
perfect. And yes, those are the four tasks. Those can be tricky. So I really advise that if you have that question, take your time because sometimes you will find that you know it and clearly you know it, but you might choose the wrong option on the screen. Next question. Tamara works on a project using an adaptive, sorry. Tamara works on a project using an adaptive approach and write user story to help the delivery team understand the requirement. Recently, she was asked to work on a project using a more predictive approach. A colleague told her that she no longer will be writing user stories since they are not used on more predictive approach project. Tamara, however, thought that user stories will be helpful with which of the following tasks: analyze performance measure, specify a model requirement, analyze current state, perform gap analysis. So, is everyone know the difference between adaptive and predictive approach?
Waterfall agile, yes.
That's correct. Yeah. So, so why she will still need a user story?
User story for model requirements.
Specify a model
Specify.
requirement. That what you said, like a Bahamas?
That what you said?
Yeah, yeah. B for Bahamas, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Any other opinion?
B, to specify a model requirements.
Okay.
Adaptive approach and also the last requirements.
So do you have a different opinion than B?
It's more predictive, required.
Okay. So let's test B then. User story provide a brief statement about what people do or need to do when using the solution. And that's what the Babok says. Really good. Next, same scenario. Specifically, what will user story help the team totally define and understand? Non-functional requirement, prioritize functional requirement, acceptance criteria, and risk assessment.
I will go with C for Canada, acceptance criteria.
Okay.
To understand what actually needs to be done so
Yeah.
that the customer is satisfied.
Anyone else? Let's test Canada. And you're actually right. User stories serve to identify specific acceptance criteria to help the team to understand what the solution needs to provide in order to deliver value for the stakeholders. Last question. Sophia is a BA who has just helped a business owner define a business need relating to a new service that her company wants to offer. The company is expecting this new service to increase revenue, increase market share, and reduce customer complaint. She, along with key stakeholders, have generated alternative change strategy related to the new service and are completing business case to support a recommendation. Sophia realized that she has no idea of the potential business and technical ramification or magnitude of the effort. She realized she needs to step back and complete which task or element or technique next. Sophia and her team needs to analyze constraint, assumption, and dependencies associated with their recommended solution. Sophia and her team need to define the potential negative impact to value of the recommended solution. Sophia and her team need to identify risk. Sophia and her team need to assess risk. This is a long scenario, so let us try to break it down. So they are working to define a business need relating to a new service. Okay. So the new service in question is supposed to do this. Okay. So they generated few change strategies related to the service. And they also complete business case to support those recommendations. And then Sophia realized that she has no idea of the potential business or technical ramification or magnitude of the effort. So she has no idea.
The risks. Yeah.
Yeah. So what she needs to do is assess the risk or identify the risk.
Remember, I think it's assess.
Any other
It's
opinion?
analyze, define, analyze current state, define future, something risks.
I think it's assess the risk if you're
Yeah.
referring to the task.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Going once, twice.
Yeah.
So, yeah, risk speak to
So can I
uncertainty.
use your
Say that again, Amara.
Uncertainty.
Okay, so I'm looking at something. Sorry. It says she has no idea of the potential business and technical ramifications or magnitude of the effort. So is it assessing or identifying? It's a bit confusing for me. I don't know.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
the
So
way that we present
the
it to
way
you, I'm taking in the echo. Give me 1 minute. Let me see. Okay. The way I present it to you is this, right? Question like that most likely are tied to a task. So if you were able to eliminate those two, right? And now we have to choose between C and D. Which of them actually are related to a task in the BABOK? That's the way we have to think about it. Are we in the BABOK and we are only working on one knowledge area at the moment in the BABOK? Are we assessing or identifying risk? That's a question you should ask yourself. And I will always go with what the BABOK says, always. So that's why I asked him when we were discussing earlier, are we assessing or identify risk? And then he remembered the task and said, hey, that's assess. So yeah. So let's submit our result, right? And see how we did. Let's do next maybe. Yeah, view result. And that's good. 72%. I think Thea mentioned this strategy analysis is one of the hardest chapter in the BABOK. I don't know your previous result. I need you to compare. You should be able to do that with Thea next weekend when she's here. I'm gonna send that to her to kind of give you some perspective. She didn't
It was the
give.
first time that we worked on this chapter.
Oh, that's the first one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry then, because I joined multiple groups, so I don't have
Almost
an
session
idea.
then, yeah.
Oh, okay. That's really good for the first time, and I will encourage you to keep working on this. And if that's the
Yeah.
case, most likely you will work on the same knowledge area next week. Most
What I have
likely.
been finding is that I have been more able to actually read the questions and focus on those keywords that actually give us the answers. I just need to clarify and get organize the difference between identify, assess, define, that kind of
Yeah,
vocabulary.
yeah. So that's really good. for first time for this score, that's very good. The first time I worked personally on this knowledge area, I didn't score that high. But it's really good. It's really good. So yeah, this is kind of the end. Keep reading through the chapter 6 again. Most likely Thea will be here next week. Um, and we will revisit this chapter one more time
Okay.
before we move forward. Any other question? I wanted to take some time, make sure that everyone has access to Slack. I know, and help me here. Your name, is it pronounced Jose or Jose or Rose? Because I have three friends and they have three different pronunciation, and I want to make sure I pronounce your name right.
It's fine. I don't mind. Jose is the Spanish South American pronunciation.
Okay.
Then you have José, which is the Portuguese pronunciation, and then you have José, which is the Brazilian pronunciation. So I'm used to it.
So Jose is the right one for you?
For me, yeah, José, yeah.
Jose. Okay. Perfect. Okay. So I think Jose and Gabriel, you mentioned that you have access to Slack. Is that right? Without any
Yes.
issue, no notification, anything, right?
No, nothing. I found that I was trying to. You sent the invitation. I went. I used the link, but I went into the workspace that I had already created before, and that was not working. I went over again, used the link, and but this time I actually went into the Tampa Bay workspace.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is let me stop the recording before we keep talking about all that. If I can find my Zoom. Yep. Yes, I